Okay, well, that Pakistan is staring at an economic crisis, it is not news, but the sorry state of affairs of the country's economy became all the more glaring when the top business delegation met Army Chief Qamar Javed Bajwa at the Pakistan military headquarters in Rawalpindi over raised concern over the poor economy. The Army Chief has held such meets on 2 more occasions as well. Account deficit, rampant corruption and slumping FDI are some of the top concerns the Pakistani economy has witnessed in the past few years. What is even more disturbing is that Pakistan owes more money to China than it does to the International Monetary Fund, allowing China to arm twist its protege any way they like, leaving India, its neighbor, more vulnerable than ever before. And we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about this in detail with our esteemed guests in the studio. Joining me to my right is Dr. Sharad Kohli, renowned economist, and we also have Mr. Yogendra Kapoor, economist and business expert with me, and Colonel Shailendra Singh, who's a defense expert, is also with us on the program, and Gopal Krishna Agarwal of the BJP is also a part of this particular debate. Sharad, let me start by asking you this very simple question, that Pakistan is very well aware of the kind of trouble, the debilitating trouble that it has been in the last few years when it comes to its economy, but they still continue to spend on defense, they still continue to make highways and roads, and they still continue to buy weapons from China. And at the same time, they have the temerity, the audacity, or whatever you want to call it. They're foolish enough, to in fact instigate India or try to compete with India in every way which possible. Yeah, what do you make of this pathological mindset that Pakistan has to get over if they want to do anything positive with their economy?
Well, Vineet, to answer your question straight away, this is the best way they can deflect the attention of their awam, so-called awam that they have. From economy to defense, because the only way Pakistan's government, first of all, we don't know who the government is, whether it is the army, it is the elected government, or is it the Taliban, who is actually controlling Pakistan is not known. Anyway, whosoever is the government feels that the only way we can deflect the attention of a tottering economy over there is to keep raising these military issues with India, and India is their best pastime to be thinking of attacking India, nuclear warfare and so and so. This is the only way, Vineet, they can deflect the attention. If you look at the economic parameters of Pakistan, you look at the GDP, which is less than 1/10 of India. You look at the per capita income. Look at the inflation, which is now gone beyond 10%. And I think it's a matter of time before this inflation goes out of control. And understanding economics for our viewers who do not understand the meaning of that, as to what consequence this can have, effectively, it will cripple the economy to a level where my personal prediction, Vineet, is that the Pakistan economy might disintegrate into 3-4 smaller countries, Balochistan, Sindh, and so on and so forth, because the economy per se will not be able to hold itself together once the inflation goes beyond control. And you know what happened in Zimbabwe or some of the other countries around the world, in fact USSR for that matter, a few years ago.
They disintegrated.
They disintegrated. So this is what I am foreseeing as an economist, until and unless somebody, and as for the China, because I just saw your package on China as well. Well, Pakistan did not realize that in an effort to make a bigger enemy out of India, it was trying to make China as its best friend. And what China will never do anything unless it's got its vested interest. China by no means was doing charity on Pakistan. What China did was that corridor which China made into Pakistan was to facilitate its own trade and the inroads it has made into the Pakistan economy. Today, economically speaking, Pakistan economy is absolutely, totally dependent on China. And let me tell you, if China withdraws its financial support from Pakistan at this point, Pakistan will fail sooner than we imagine. And I think it is a matter of alarm because see, what Pakistan was known for, it was known for textiles, it was known for farm products. And I personally know the countries which were dealing with it. We had analyzed, I remember, Pakistan trade a few months ago. All those countries, Vineet, because of its Pakistan's terrorism, driven intentions, have withdrawn the trade deals with Pakistan. So the Pakistani
Nobody wants to do
exporters,
business
nobody
with
wants
them.
to do business.
Right.
They say we don't want to do business with a terrorist state. And all the exporters in Pakistan today have been crippled, which is why the industry experts in Pakistan met the top guys that, look, what are you doing to us? You are blacklisting us from every single deal that we were doing. I think it is a matter of concern. It is a matter of alarm. And Pakistani Awam, the Pakistani Aam Janata today, has to realize that they are staring at a bankruptcy.
Absolutely. Perhaps even staring at another Syria, Mr. Kapoor. You know, I remember in the 16s and 70s, well, remember from the time I went to school and studied this, that, you know, the United States, they in fact came up with the space idea in, you know, which they spent a lot of money, or rather pretended to spend a lot of money on their space program, only to bankrupt Russia. And they eventually ended up achieving that as well. Do you think in its pathological obsession with India, or its, you know, India-centric policies, India-centric elections, India-centric rhetoric, Pakistan has actually shot itself in the foot and has completely forgotten its own people and become bankrupt in the process?
Absolutely. You see, whatever is the state of Pakistan today, it is no other country, but it is they themselves to be blamed. Now, the only two countries which can exercise leverage, or one can say pressure on Pakistan, are United States of America and China. And this Pakistan understands very well. Now, the point is that they have to seriously evaluate that how they want to go ahead and move forward. The point is that they are in absolute crisis today. You can imagine a country which has a tax to GDP ratio of 1%. It is only 1% population which is paying tax in this country. And apart from that, the point is that now the world also sees this country by a two-alphabet word, which is IT, which stands for international terrorism. And now the point is that it is they who have to, you know, walk the talk and basically move on the, you know, they have to create an environment, create an ecosystem which is, you know, which can be seen from the outside world as a one that the political environment is becoming stable, the economic environment is becoming stable in this country. Then only they can think of moving forward. But as I see that until and unless the control of army, as Sharaji was just suggesting that it's not clear who is actually controlling Pakistan, but I think on the contrary, it's very well known in the world that it is one force which has been driving and controlling Pakistan since its creation, and it is its army. So they'll have to break that shackles going forward, and I think it is only US which can take a role forward in establishing democracy and then, you know,
well, absolutely. And Mr. Agarwal, right from, you know, the leadership, you know, from the 60s, be it Yahya Khan, be it Zia-ul-Haq, be it Nawaz Sharif, Benazir Bhutto, or Musharraf, you know, none of them, in fact, no sincere efforts were made, you know, by any of these governments in bringing durable economic reforms in Pakistan. You know, their only policy and their only agenda was to, in fact, destroy and watch India suffer. And in that quest, they have completely put themselves out of the league of the world.
Definitely, and I welcome this move by focus on economy by the Pakistani leadership, because as Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee told, that you cannot change the neighbors, you can change your friends. So we are a neighbor, and if the economy of Pakistan does better, it's good for the whole Southeast Asian countries, because their focus should shift from terrorism. That's what the whole purpose of Indian leadership at present has been, that don't be the epicenter of terrorism. You are destroying your people, you are destroying your economy, you are harming the interest of your local people, and what you are gaining is everything at the cost of the military. Military has a vested interest on the defense expenditure. Now they are feeling the real punch. The report also says that there is a freeze on the defense expenditure by the Pakistan people because of low resources and the downturn in extreme downturn in the economy. People are suffering in Pakistan, not having food, even bread and wheat, rice, etc. have become out of reach of the common man at many places. So that's the issue that the Pakistan now should focus on. They are under serious observations from the IMF and other financial institutions where they were depending. They have to build their economy, otherwise they will default on their debt, etc. So they will be in a big tailspin which they will not be able to control. So I appreciate and I welcome this move, and I would further request the people of Pakistan to see the logic behind that. But it has been a very failed state. Whatever Imran Khan's government is, it's also a sign of that the Imran Khan government, the elected, so-called elected government in Pakistan, which is a complete failure. Neither they have been able to successfully curb the terrorism, or neither they have been able to tackle the global issues, global diplomacy. Neither they have been able to tackle the economy. They are completely being sold out with the Chinese leadership.
Absolutely.
For setting up that economic corridor, the sovereignty, etc., and even that is creating problem for India as well. So these are the issues that they should focus on.
Absolutely, Sharad, and it's baffling at times to see that a country that in fact gained independence along with us, has been reduced to such shambles. They have an atomic bomb, but I'm sure they don't have the technology to make a microwave oven. They have the technology perhaps, to make a needle, but they cannot make a grenade. It's these anomalies that make Pakistan a very curious case, not only for politicians, but, economists as yourself as well. And corruption is another thing which is rampant in Pakistan. According to a UN report, at least $15 billion are laundered from Pakistan every year in this modern age.
Oh yes, when you had the former Pakistan head being called as a 10% man, we all remember that comment, being made. So the whole world knows the story. I mean, when you look at the economic parameters, that spells the whole story. 91% of the GDP of Pakistan is currently supported by a debt. So we are looking at, if the total GDP is $236 billion odd dollars, we are looking 91% of that being under debt, which is corresponded by debt, as we call it in economic terminology.
So it has no value.
It has no value, absolutely, which means that every single rupee which a Pakistani citizen is earning, almost 90% of that,
they're all under debt.
Absolutely, it's under debt. So every single Pakistani is under debt, which I'm sure most of the Pakistani citizens know this. I'm sure this telecast, I wish it reaches Pakistan.
How do they sleep
because
at
the
night?
Pakistan media is never going to tell the citizens that this is the underlying truth behind the economy. Look at the IMF debt, over around $6 billion of IMF debt. Look at the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF blacklisting.
They're breathing down their neck all the time.
Yes, now
they're on the grey list already.
In fact, you'll be surprised. I was reading an article in The Economist long ago which said IMF has now got a compulsion, because if it wants to recover the debt which it has already given to Pakistan, it will have to continue giving debt, because what happens in a typical case where a borrower is about to sink, about to become bankrupt, the lender is forced to give a debt, because otherwise you can't recover what you've given to it. So I would say IMF is also in a bit of a trouble, because the debt is totally in danger right now. It is not going to recover anything. As of today, Pakistan doesn't have a single rupee to return. So, and it is not going to get any future help now from China. Look at the economic slowdown around the globe. And I remember I've got some inside news about a diplomatic dialogue where Pakistan wanted to ask for a debt, and the country, I won't name the country because I don't want to be, creating a foxpa there. But then the country said that, look, we are going through an economic slowdown. I'm sorry, we've got no money to spare. Imagine when this situation, when the rest of the world is going through a slowdown, what will a tottering Pakistani economy? They can only sell chickens and hens, and probably Imran Khan can recommend breeding donkeys to raise to maintain the economy. I mean, that is the state of affair. I mean, I think it's a very, very serious situation. I would say, Vineet, I'm not being biased to my profession of being an economist, but I would say, Vineet, that more than the defense problem that they have, I think the economic problem is far bigger. Just that the Aam Aadmi of Pakistan does not understand economics as deeply as we are discussing. They understand the language of gun, the language of a nuclear bomb, the language of a tank. That's all they can listen to. But if I wish they understood the language of money, that they are in deeper trouble more than the military risk, I would say.
But Sharad, in order to maintain those tanks, in order to maintain all that defense equipment, they need money.
Oh yes,
and 30% of the GDP already goes to the army. The army is already worth $50 billion.
Absolutely. I made a forecast on your channel a few weeks ago. If today Pakistan has to go on war, and which it keeps threatening to India every now and then, shame on Pakistan to be doing that. The war, would you believe, in monetary terms, they will not be able to hold themselves for more than 3 days. I don't know how they can threaten a war when they do not have enough weaponry. They don't have enough ammunition. Their salaries of the army people are outstanding. Very few people know that the defense people are not being paid on time. In this situation, how can such a country be even dreaming of a war? Forget about going into war.
And Yogendra, do you think this political instability that Sharad spoke of and Mr. Agarwal also spoke of, and the lack of coherent and constitutional fiscal policies, is the reason that Pakistan finds itself in such a soup? And the fact that, it's a divided country. On one hand, you have the army, which is like, this invisible hand which runs everything, but you can't question it. And then you have the Banana Republic, which is in fact helmed by Imran Khan. They show that they're doing things, but nothing is actually in their control. It's this dubious nature of Pakistan. The two-nation theory is perhaps got nothing to do with India and Pakistan now. The two-nation theory exists within Pakistan. One nation is run by the army and the other is run by the so-called democracy.
Absolutely. You see, I'd like to reveal two startling facts. One, that this Imran Khan government was voted in order to weed out and, control corruption. Unfortunately, they have failed on that front. The other thing is...
So the corrupt decided to, hire a government to eliminate themselves, basically.
Yes, you can put it that way, absolutely. And the second thing is, the rich Pakistani businessmen or the factory owners, if I say, today they are not ready to invest in their own country. They are in fact investing in Bangladesh. Now you can imagine the state of affairs that if your own people are not having the trust and the belief that they can generate the return out of their investments in their own country, then it's a sign that something is really wrong and wherein the government needs to step in fast. Otherwise, the thing is that it will only bring in more curse and more problems for this country.
Yogendra, to add to what Yogendra is saying, Vineet, if you allow me, these rich Pakistani businessmen, we are aware that, US offers EB-5 and other countries likewise offer entrepreneurs a direct entry by way of a certain degree of investment. Now, the other problem with the Pakistani industrialists are facing is, even if they have money, the countries are not giving them permanent visas, which are investment related. So now they are trapped. They can't invest within their country. They can't invest outside their country. They've got nowhere to go. And this was, Vineet, one of the reasons why this meeting was held between the industrialists and the higher-ups of the Pakistan, because these industrialists said, now we've got nowhere to go. We were investing in places like US, UK and other places. But now, they are not accepting our money. They don't want Pakistanis to come there even if you want to invest $1 million. Sorry, we don't want you. We don't want you in any form. So it's a catch-22 and a trap for Pakistani rich guys. They do not know where to go as of now.
Absolutely. And Mr. Agarwal, India has been ascending. India has been doing well when it comes to business, reaching out to the world economic community. We've also gained a lot of ground when it comes to ease of doing business. But Pakistan, on the other hand, has made a mockery of itself, not only when it comes to its economy, but its image in the entire world. You don't talk about ease of doing in Pakistan. You talk about the dangers of doing business in Pakistan when you approach that country.
It's ease of not doing business in Pakistan.
It's ease of not doing business in Pakistan.
I would like to just say one or 2 points. The important thing now is being exposed is that the Pakistan army, which was highly corrupt and was only working for its vested interest, had no concern till the common citizen of Pakistan was suffering. We had certain reports that even bread and wheat and rice was not available to the common man. That time they did not woke up. When finally they are feeling the punch, when army is feeling that there are resource crunch at their level, so now they have woken up. And now Mr. Bajwa has been quoted in the statement some days back now is that internal economy is also a part of internal threat. So slow economic growth, for recession in the economy, now they are considering terrorism, etc. was not their concern for internal security. So it is only the corrupt army which is looking after their own interest, which has woken up when they are feeling the pinch, when the common man of Pakistan was suffering. So common man should rise and understand what kind of governance they are having. Second important thing I want to tell is that they should look about Bangladesh. Today only there is a report that genocide was done by the Pakistan army in Bangladesh. In 1971, 4 lakh women was brutally raped, and the amount of killing that they did in Bangladesh, now it is one of the fastest growing economy in one of the fastest growing economy in this region. So they should learn from the example of Bangladesh, India, etc., that really this army was manipulating them, exploiting the common man, and this Kashmir and this issue of India rhetoric, all this was just to divert.
Absolutely, it was only used to divert attention and in fact garner votes as well. And Sharad, there is a kahavat in Hindi which says that Andher Nagari Chaupat Raja, which is in fact befitting to the state of Pakistan. But my real question to you as an economist is, you know, we all know what the problem with Pakistan is. Whoever comes and sits on that throne of the Prime Minister is going to meet the same fate. As long as the army is in control of the funds, as long as the army is in control of the decision-making process and procedures, nothing's ever going to change in Pakistan. So instead of a coup, I think a revolution is of the order in Pakistan.
I think if you ask me, I mean, if I pardon me for saying this though, but if you ask me, why can't army then come in the forefront? I mean, why are they controlling it from behind? How about having a designation like Lieutenant General Finance or a Lieutenant General Steel or a Lieutenant General Human Resource? I mean, why not have those come out and open and control the country? Why make them puppets? Why make these prime ministers and so-called ministers as puppets? I mean, it should be straight. And you know, the best part, the best part was when Pakistan a few months ago, after Article 370, in fact, few weeks ago, when Article 370 and 35A came, it said no more trade with India. What trade? I mean, there was no question. You are only harming yourself by stopping the movement of goods from Wagah or other borders, because the Pakistani border area and in fact right up to Lahore were surviving because of the goods being sent to India. In fact, they are now in trouble with the vegetables because Pakistan is not able to meet its own demands, because that is the reason why the inflation is shooting up right now. I think if you ask me on all economic parameters, Vineet, inflation, apart from the forex reserves, the overall GDP, the poverty which is really deep rooted in the country as of now, I think inflation is the first economic parameter which is going to cripple them, because the moment inflation touches about 15%, the things will go beyond the reach of the common man. What are they going to do? Because there is no employment there, there's no means of living, there's no self-occupation they can get into. I think that will be the beginning of the end of the Pakistani economy, in my view.
Absolutely. And Yogendra, we just have about a minute left into the show. You know, how prepared should India be in, you know, the face of the crisis that we get to see in Pakistan, that here is a country which is perhaps, you know, of course it is nuclear and perhaps on the verge of being economically completely shattered in the next few weeks to come. How prepared should India be? Because if there is an implosion in Pakistan, be it economic, it will have a fallout, it will have a ripple effect, maybe perhaps not on the mainland, but at the border definitely.
I think I like to differ on this point. The point is that I think Pakistan is reaching a point where, I think now there is going to be a realization in the mindset of army also, that in case we have to move forward, and in order to avoid, as Sharad ji just said, in order to avoid a situation of revolution within the country, then I think they need to take positive steps, and that steps need to be in the direction of creating a positive environment and an ecosystem. And until that takes place, I think they are going to remain in a difficult situation.
Well, I'm not really sure how you come up with a positive environment when the Prime Minister himself admits and asserts to the fact that they trained the Al-Qaeda and they have about 40 to 50,000 terrorists residing in that particular country. So, well, I think it's a lost cause, but we have to discuss Pakistan because they live right next to us. On that note, I'd like to thank all my panelists for being a part of this very articulate debate. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.